Hi everyone, welcome to this week's Global Intelligence Update. So our guest speaker is Carl Schultz, and he is based in South Africa. Mike and Lundy has known Carl for about 3 years now. When they met him, he was the current president of PSA South Africa, and Carl has started his own or has his own coaching business. First, it started as World Class Summits, which has then evolved into a franchise of world class speakers. So even though COVID has been hectic, we have honestly seen how Carl has just climbed and his business has been doing so good. So we are excited for Carl to share the 12 pillars of building a world-class business with us today. Over to you, Carl.
Thank you, Nicola. Yes, good morning, everybody. I'm excited to be sharing with you this morning 12 pillars of world-class business. So just to quickly frame what we're going to do is I'm going to run through my experiences, my journey a little bit, and some of the stuff I've learned, and then explain to you what we've built. And then we'll open up for questions somewhere along the line. But if you want to, or actually, but no, don't jump in at any time, because that could be chaos. Let's leave the questions for a little bit later. And what I'd like you to do while I'm talking is just to think of your own business. Think of what you're doing. Think of your situation. Think of where you are on in your business with regards to these 12 pillars. And I think you can rate yourself, give yourself a bit of a score on each one of the pillars that I'm going to go through, a score of 1 to 10, 1 being I've got no idea what you're talking about. I don't have anything like that. I've never heard of this. 2, I've heard of it. 10, yes, I've got my finger on the pulse. We've got a system in place. I've got that under control. So just rate yourself in each one of those areas. Just broadly. You don't have to make a major scorecard of it or something, but just think about it in that kind of line. And then at the end, you can come in with any questions, and let's see if we can help you just create a little bit more awareness. Because, I think Napoleon Hill, one of my favorite quotes, Napoleon Hill says that once an individual's mind has been stretched by a thought or an idea, it can never again go back to its original size. So when we're exposed to something, thoughts and ideas and those kind of stuff, it stretches our thinking, and you can't go back to your original size. And that's what stimulates the adventurous side of you to go and find out a little bit more and learn more and start to implement that in your business. And if I think about business, my journey started when I was, I've never really had a job. I worked for our telephone manufacturing company. When I left school, I did an apprenticeship with him, Telkom, here in South Africa. And I was with him for about 4.5 years. And I remember when I was an apprentice, I just hated it. I hated being put in a box and being told that you got to be at work at this time and you got to leave at this time. And this is the time that you can go to the loo. And this is the time you can have coffee. And this is the time you can eat. I hated that kind of structure. And I was young at the time, and I thought to myself, I'm going to start my own business. I didn't know anything about business back then, but I knew that, or I thought that business was easy. The harder you worked, the more money you made. I mean, how many of you thought that when you went into business the first time? The harder you work, the more money you make. And I was young. I wasn't married at the time. I was single. I wasn't lazy. I could work really, really hard. They told me that in order for you to run your own business, you needed to be a responsible person. And I knew I was responsible because every time something went wrong at Telkom, everybody told me that I was responsible. So I knew that I was responsible. And so I set out and started my own business. And I remember in those early years of being in business for myself, how frustrated I was because things were just not working out for me. It was difficult. I remember the one day I was sitting at home. I had this whole group of dairy shops. So we had 4 stores, and we used to have these big silver stainless steel tanks. I used to get milk from the farms and then fill up the tanks in all my stores. And we used to mix juice and all the dairy products. And I used to work hard. I was up at 5 a.m, going, collecting the milk from the farms and from the dairies, coming to the shop. We used to open at 6 o'clock in the morning, 6 a.m. And I used to close at 6 p.m. at night. And then I used to have to clean everything. And you know, when you start off in business, you are everything. You do everything. You're the cleaner, you the accountant, you customer service, you problem solving, you are everything. And I used to get home at 8, 8:30, 9 o'clock every night, totally exhausted. And I did that for 3 years. And I remember being so frustrated because I was going nowhere. In fact, I lay on my bed and I said to myself, if I stayed here and I didn't go and open my shop, I would be better off because I wouldn't have to pay salaries and I wouldn't have to pay rent. So I'd have more money because my businesses just weren't cutting it. They weren't making it. And I don't know if you guys have seen the stats, but when we think about business and businesses today, it's literally 1 in 10 businesses. So it's actually less than 1 in 10. So less than 10% of businesses that start today last for 5 years. Now, if we are 14 participants on this call at the moment, that means that just about maybe 1.25 of us will survive. That's like one of us on this call and a little bit will survive 5 years. Doesn't that make you excited when you think about going into business? Doesn't that make you excited to go back to business tomorrow? Well, it was quite frustrating for me as well. And when I read those statistics and I learned those statistics, I was just I was devastated because I had no hope. And then I started reading a little bit more. And then I read that on the other hand, franchises that succeed, upwards of 90% of all franchises succeed. And I thought about it and I thought to myself, well, what's the difference? What's the difference between a business and a franchise? And I realized that in the work that I did later in the franchise industry, I purchased my first franchise soon after that experience. I started a Vodafone franchise. You guys will know there's Vodafone. In South Africa, it's Vodacom, but it's the same brand, the same umbrella. And I remember when I owned the franchise, the amount of training that they did with us, the amount of training around systems and how to do things and just making your life so much easier. In my business before the franchise, the one that was struggling, was like, I always used to tell my friends, it's like a walking economy. My hairline was in recession, my stomach was inflated, and the two together put me into depression. And they used to laugh at me. And when we switched to the franchise model and I started learning all of these systems, I just realized that the only reason we fail in business is because there's some stuff we don't know. There's some things that we don't know. I also realized that it actually wasn't that difficult. They're not that many fundamentals. I mean, you guys are all coaches and speakers and consultants. So you probably would have heard of Jim Rohn. And Jim Rohn always used to say, in life, there are only a few fundamentals. In fact, he used to say there's 4 or 5. I now know better. There are not only 4 or 5, there are 12 of them. And I'm going to share those with you. And I'm sure if Jim Rohn was around, I would have helped him. And I would have given him the other ones as well. But there are 12. And when we first started our franchise, our world-class coach franchise, that's what I looked at. I took what I'd learned from owning these franchises. We owned 4 or 5 different franchises back then. And I say we because they teach you when you are a coach or a consultant, when you just talk about I all the time, you look a lot smaller than you are. So when you say we, it sounds like you're like bigger than what you are. And so when I say we, it's pretty much me back in the beginning until we got a team of people around us and we started growing a little bit. But I think about what we put in place when we started our world-class coach journey in our franchise. And I took what we learned along with some of the stuff that we put into place when I owned the Vodafone franchise, I started working with head office and I started developing programs for them to help their stores succeed. And I remember the one time meeting with them and sharing with them this excitement of this whole concept that I've built. In fact, it wasn't the guys from Vodafone that I met with, it was a different franchise. And when I shared with him this whole concept and what we've done in the 12 pillars, I was shocked when they said to me that it's not their job to help their franchises succeed. It's the business owner's job to help to make himself succeed, or to work out his own journey and to help himself succeed. And I looked at that franchise and I thought to myself, you guys are not going to make it if you're not working with your people and helping your people. And so we started identifying different franchises, different franchisors that we started working closely with, and I learned so much from them. And that's what helped me originally put my franchise together. And when we franchised our world-class coach model, I looked at coaches. I mean, you guys are coaches and some of you are consultants and coaches. And I looked at what it would take for me to get my business up and running, what I needed to have in place. We took some of the systems and the stuff we've learned from Vodafone, and we built a model for coaches. We built a back end, we built a whole automated platform with tools and all kinds of stuff to help coaches in their business. And that pretty soon turned into a franchise where we now go out and consult with other businesses. So we're a business coaching franchise, and we help small to medium businesses implement these 12 pillars, or the 12 pillar structure, to help them become more successful in their business. Let me share the 12 pillar structure with you a little bit. Now, you've all heard them say that business is as easy as 1, 2, 3. Well, it's not. It's actually 2, 4, 6. And our 12 pillar structure is built on this 2, 4, 6 model. So there's 2 development areas, there's 4 strategies, and there's 6 systems that we need to have in place in our business. Now, remember what I said in the beginning, that if you could just score yourself or rate yourself in each of these areas, this is where I want you to look at yourself and say, okay, I'm okay in this area. I'm a 5 or a 6 or close to a 10, or I've never heard of what you're talking about, or I've thought about it, but I've never done anything around that. And don't be too hard on yourself. To be honest with you, most businesses that we work with, they score very low. In fact, they score like a 1 and a 2 in all of these areas. So when we look at the 2 development areas to start with, there are 2 areas that you pretty much need to develop yourself or work on self-development in. And one of them is, so when you think about those 2 areas, see it like the railroad track on which you're going to run your business. You know, Lundy talks about the money train. Remember the money train? Have any of you done the money train? So think about your train riding on these tracks, and your 2 tracks are your 2 development areas. And first of all, it's looking at your personal development. And then on the other track, it's developing leadership and leadership skills. So those 2 areas. So as a business owner, you really need to be working on both of those areas in your own life. If you're not in, if your personal life is a mess, your business can't succeed. And if you're not able to lead properly, your business is also going to be a mess. So you really need to have both of those areas covered. And if you look at personal development and leadership development and that kind of thing, it's not like we're saying to you that this is your main focus, but this is something that you will keep in the back of your mind and that you'll constantly be working on. You'll constantly be growing and constantly be monitoring. It's like a lifelong commitment to be a lifelong learner, if you want to call it that. And in personal development, you've often heard of people saying balanced life, and you must have a balanced life and all that kind of stuff. Now, I don't quite buy into the balanced life thing, because if you're in business, you'll know there's no such thing as a balanced life. And if you're trying to get all your little spokes in a line in each one of the number 6 and then move them up to 7 and go to 10, I think you're living in a fairy tale world, because we're different. We are different people. So for some of us, some areas will be higher than others. And in certain times of your life, you'll focus a lot more in a certain area and less in another area. But as long as you're aware that there are different areas of life and that you're not sacrificing the one area or compromising one area for the other at the expense of the other areas. In other words, you don't want to sacrifice your health now so that you can get money, and later you've got to pay all that money back to buy back your health that you've sacrificed in the beginning. You guys get what I'm talking about. But when I say balanced life and personal development, it's pretty much you getting to know yourself, getting to regularly assess yourself, work with a coach. I mean, that's why we're all here. We work with Mike and Lundy, and we check in with them from time to time. And it's that whole self-awareness part where you become aware of areas that you need to work on and develop. You become aware of areas where you're getting a little bit out of balance, where you might be compromising certain areas or sacrificing certain things. And you just need to be aware of that and being able to then bring that back into place and back into check. And on the leadership side, you need to be able to lead. You need to be able to create an environment where the people that are working with you and for you can thrive. And when we look at leadership, there's a model of leadership that we teach that focuses on 3 areas. And it kind of talks about you creating an environment where your people are protected. Number 1, so a good leader creates an environment where the people are protected, your people are protected. And when I say protected, it's a safe environment where you do things right. You do things by the book. You don't put your business at risk. You don't put your people at risk, but you're creating a safe environment where there's structure in place, where there's certain rules in place, where you're following the rules and you're not running it like our government here in South Africa, where everything's a mess. So you protect your people, you create an environment where they are empowered. In other words, where they can grow, where they can reach their potential, where they can discover their talents and grow in those areas, and where they can just improve, and in so doing also improve your business. And then number 3 is you create an environment where you as the leader influences people to be able to strive to become better and to be better, and also to follow the principles within your business to grow your business. So those are the 2 areas and the 2 development areas when we look at your 12 pillars of world-class business. So just think a moment on your own life. Are you covered in those areas? And I pretty much feel that you guys are covered in that area, because you wouldn't be here if you're not covered in those areas. So I think those areas are kind of okay. So next we want to look at the 4 strategic plans or 4 strategies that we want to have in place in our business. And when you think about these strategies, it's not something that you do right in the beginning and then you've done it, you tick the box and you put it away. It's something that you're constantly working on, you're constantly looking at in your business, and you're constantly monitoring, and you're constantly adapting and changing and growing. The first strategy that we want to have in place in our business is our business plan. Have you got a business plan? If I had to come to you and to your office right now, or your home, or wherever you're working from, and say to you, show me your business plan, could you walk to a drawer or a cupboard or a wall and pull out a document and show me a physical something that's a business plan? Now, let me tell you, the businesses that we work with, I would probably say around 70% of them do not have anything in place, nothing in place. There are 2 kinds of business plans. You've got a comprehensive business plan, which is a detailed, long form document with all little details in, and there's plenty of templates you can find online if you don't have something like that. But you need to have a comprehensive business plan, and a comprehensive business plan is not something that that's ever finished. It's an evolving document. It's something that changes, and it's something that you work on constantly. It's a valuable piece of document to have in place in your business. Now, I'd advise you to have one, work on one, and take that point seriously. So that's a comprehensive. And the second one is my favorite, which is a 1-page business plan. And the 1-page business plan is really just a piece of paper that you can look at once a week, that you stick up in your office, behind the door, on your mirror, in your cupboard, or wherever it is. It's a 1-pager that inspires you, that like just gives you the basics. It's like, this is what I'm doing, this is where I'm going, these are my targets, this is what I'm standing for. It's just like a one-pager that just keeps you in track, it keeps you focused, keeps you motivated, it keeps you going. Because you have to remind yourself of that. It's like a picture of your better tomorrow when you think about your business. And that picture, it leads you to not only believe that you can achieve that, but also it helps you believe that you have to do it, because there's this driving force within you to achieve that. So that's the first strategy that you need to have in place, is your business plan. Strategy number 2 is your business structure plan, or to understand what kind of structure you setting your business up in. And when we talk about structure, it's pretty much an informal structure or a formal structure. Are you going to run an informal business, a sole proprietor, or you are the business and it's you, and you're not going to register? It's just going to be your business that you're going to be running, or you're going to formalize this thing and go and register your business in a proper legal structure. And you can pretty much have any one of those. I mean, it doesn't really matter. The choice is yours, but you need to kind of decide what you want to do. Why would you want to run it in an informal structure? Does that suit you? Does that serve you at the moment? Or do you want to go through all the work and the compliances around formalizing your business? What are the benefits of having a formal business, a structured, registered business? What are the downsides of that? And there's arguments either way, and it really depends on yourself. But you want to decide on that. You want to decide on your structure, because when you decide on the structure that you're going to build your business in, it helps you moving forward. And I would really advise you to consider a formal structure, because remember, we are wanting to build an asset of value. So when you think of a business, I mean, there's so many guys I sit with that run an informal business. And when you look at the way they're running the informal business, it's pretty successful. They could be making a fairly decent living out of it, but they're not building an asset of value. If they want to sell that business one day, there's no asset of value, because it hasn't been registered, it hasn't been structured properly. And that's pretty much what you want to think of as well. And then the next strategy that you want to also consider is around your risk management structure, or risk management strategy. How are you going to manage the risks within your business? And this kind of builds on the structure side as well, because if you structure your business correctly, you can manage a lot of the risks, and you can eliminate a lot of the risks as well. You separate yourself from your business when you register a structure, and so the risks and the liabilities lie within the business and not within you. Whereas if you run an informal business, the risk is all on you. Formal, structured business, registered, the risks are moved and transferred. And when we think about risk management, it's pretty much you looking at potential risks, what could go wrong. I mean, think about what's happened recently with COVID and all the stuff that's gone wrong that nobody could ever have predicted. We think about what's happened in South Africa with the political unrest, where we had thousands of stores looted and vandalized, and stock just gone. Nobody could have predicted that would happen. But how are you managing your risk? Have you identified potential risk? Are there risks that you can afford to carry yourself within your business? If something goes wrong, I can afford to carry certain risks. Or are there risks that I need to defer? In other words, I need to pay someone else to manage that risk for me. That's like insurance and stuff like that. You pay a premium and they take care of the risk for you. Other risks you can manage yourself because your business is growing and you have the finances to be able to manage that. And then the final strategy that we want to have in place is a succession plan. And when we talk about succession planning, it's a way out. So when you start your business, you need to already in your mind start thinking about, how am I going to get out of this business one day? What is my exit strategy? And you need to plan for that. I remember a friend of mine always used to tell me, he said, don't ever sign any document, don't ever sign any partnership or any agreement if there's not a clear paragraph or a clear description in that of how you can get out of this thing. And you must be absolutely clear on that. And it's the same with your business. What is your exit strategy? Are you going to be handing your business over to a family member later? Are you going to sell your business? Are you going to raise someone up in the business that could take over from you, buy you out? Or are you going to keep owning the business and just have someone work for you and carry on with the business? And you need to think around those things and plan for them. I know some of the companies that we work with, especially in the medical field, we work with a lot of practices, veterinary practices and dental practices and those kind of things. And a lot of those guys are professionals, and they're running a practice. And as they get older, they assume that they'll just be able to sell the practice one day. But they don't realize that there are very few people that have money to buy a business that's been running for so many years that there's a perceived value. And so they don't put anything in place. And it's very easy to put stuff like that in place. You could take out a policy, a 20-year policy, a savings plan, any of those things. You can speak to a financial advisor and you can set up that kind of stuff. You can, even in a family business, you could do that. You could set up a structure where your business pays a policy, a 20-year or 25-year or 30-year policy. And by the time it's time for you to retire, the policy pays out and it buys you out, and your children or whoever you've raised up in your business just takes over the business, and you've got capital then, and you can exit the business in a financially sound way. So those are some of the strategies that we need to consider within our business. And guys, it doesn't matter how big or how small your business is. You've got to see this as an asset of value. You've got to see this as, I'm building an asset of value, something that's valuable that I can sell. I remember I told you about the milk shop I had way in the beginning, and I remember that very first dairy shop that I had. I sold it, and when I put it on the market, I didn't have, it was an informal business, wasn't registered. It was totally informal. It was me. I was the business. I bought all the assets. I ran the business, and I sold the business for 80,000. And I remember when I was selling the business, the person who bought the business came in, and I said to him, look, I don't have financials. I don't have figures. I don't have any of those things, but I want you to come and spend a month with me in the business. You can speak to all the suppliers, and you can spend time with me in the business, and you'll see for yourself what the business is doing. You'll see the turnover. The suppliers will tell you what I'm buying from them on a regular basis. And based on that, you can determine the value of the business. You can see the assets in the business. They all paid up, and you can buy the business. And I remember after selling the business, speaking to an agent who was a business sales agent. And I remember him telling me that if that business was structured properly, if it was registered, if it was a formal business, that exact same business, I could have sold for 250,000. That's more than 3 times more than what I got for the business. And that was quite a lesson for me to think of back then. So, you know, when you think about succession and selling your business or passing your business on, those kind of things, it's important that you plan properly from the beginning, and that you see your business, your current business that you're running, as an asset that you're building so that you can sell it one day. Whether you're going to sell it or not doesn't matter, but you're building an asset that you will be able to sell one day. All right, so let's move on and let's quickly look at the 6 systems that you need to have in place within your business. First system that we have to have in place in our business is around your business culture, your values, and the way you do things in your business. So we talk about that. You've heard so many people talk about vision and mission statement and core values and all that kind of stuff. That's what we're talking about here. What's the culture within your business? What's the value system that you're operating your business on? And when we think about that, it's pretty much the why. Why have you got this business? Why did you start the business that you've started? Why are you doing what you're doing? That's for yourself. Then it comes to the what am I doing? And it talks to the how am I doing what I'm doing? And for yourself as the business owner, you've got to really be very clear on the why. And the why talks about your culture, your values, what's important to you, and why you do what you do. And you have the choice in that, because it's your business and you own the business. You have the choice to kind of put those things in place and to set those things up. And then once you've done that, then to build a team around you that buys into those values that you stand for. And then that evolves over time, and there's different ways in growing that and coming up with your values and your culture and all that kind of stuff. But a workplace culture or a business culture is very important, because it tells you, but not only you, it tells everybody that's working for you in your business. And it also tells your customers that around here, this is how we do things. Around here, this is what's important. Around here, this is what you can expect. That's our workplace culture. That's our value system. And if that's clearly laid out, it's amazing how you start to attract a certain kind of people. You attract certain kind of clients. You attract certain kind of team members that work with you, because that stuff's set out and it's clear and it's visible and everybody can identify that. And don't we want to work with the kind of people that we want to work with? We want to choose who we want to work with. There's certain kind of customers that I won't work with. I've had clients like that before. I started working with them and then I realized, hang on, these are not the kind of clients that I want to work with. I saw Philippe in the back of your picture there. You had the triple bottom line. And for a lot of customers, when I start working with customers and I see that for them, they're not interested in that triple bottom line, the people, planet, and profit side of things. They're just interested in profit. It's profit over people. It's profit at the expense of people. They don't care for their people. For them, it's all about money. I don't want to work with clients like that. So in my culture, in my business culture, in my value system, I'm very clear on that. I know that. I get to choose who I work with. I get to choose to work with nice people. And I'm sure that every single one of you, when you came on board with Mike and Lundy, Mike, I remember he said it to me. He said, we want to work with you because we like you and we choose to work with who we work with. And every one of you in this group are likable people, and you are people of quality. And that's why you're part of this. And isn't that really what business is about, or should be about? Anyway, let's move on. So the next system that we want in place in our business is our operation system. And operation, or ops, is everything that goes into producing your product or your service, and producing it, manufacturing it, creating it, everything that goes into that, into marketing, into selling, and into getting the product to your client and the client's money in your bank. So every single step along the way. And an operation system is something that we want to try and automate as far as possible. And when I say automate, I don't really mean get a machine in place. I mean have all the steps laid out, the clear-cut steps on how things happen, so that it flows and it just happens. You want to look at your operating system regularly. You want to assess that. You want to see how can we be more effective? How can we be more cost effective? How can we be more productive, more profitable? And how can we produce a better quality and service to our clients in an easier, more affordable way, and a profitable way for our business as well? So that operation system. Then the next system we want to look at is our people system. How do we manage our people? So talk about HR, human resources. How do we manage the people that are working for us? How do we recruit? In other words, how do I get the right people on the bus, the wrong people off the bus, and everybody on the bus moving in the right direction where I'm wanting to take that? So systems in place, knowing that all your processes are in place, your job descriptions, your KPIs, your core values, all of that stuff. The guys that work for you and with you are totally on board. You're training them, you are working with them, you've got all the T's crossed and the I's dotted, proper contracts in place. Remember, we spoke about leadership in the beginning, creating a system where people are safe, where they're protected, they're empowered, and they're influenced. That's where we need to focus on our people and our people system. And believe me, I don't know about your country, but in South Africa, if your people system is not in place, it could cost you dearly. In South Africa, it's very, very, very difficult to fire somebody. It's very easy to hire, but very, very difficult to fire. So if you don't have proper structures in place and your proper people system in place with and you're following the rules the way they set out by label department and all those kind of things, it could come back and cost you a whole lot of money. I've experienced that. Right. Then the next system that we want to look at is our marketing system. Have you got a marketing system in place within your business? Have you got a plan or a marketing plan, something that you can look at where there's clear-cut steps, there's a budget, there's allocated, there's a plan with regards to marketing. And marketing, guys, marketing is not that difficult. When we think about marketing, we think about sales funnels and 7 steps and 10 steps. And you've been through all of the SEO stuff and social media and all that kind of stuff. Marketing is not that difficult. There's 3 things you want to do. You want a marketing funnel. The top part of your funnel is creating an awareness. So everything that you do to create awareness out there in front of potential clients. You don't want to create an awareness amongst clients that are not potential clients. So you want to focus on creating awareness within the area of your potential clients. So that's the first top part of your funnel. The second part of the funnel is to bring those people into your tribe. So how do I get those people that I've created an awareness with to become part of my tribe? I get them to subscribe to something. I get them to take part in something. I get them to do something so that they move 1 step closer to me. So in the awareness, we create an awareness of what we do. In the 1 step closer to me, if you like what we do and you're wanting to move closer, you have to take action. You have to do something. It could be an entry-level product. It could be a free download. It could be an onboarding call. It could be a discovery call. I mean, there's a myriad of things you can do, but bringing people just closer to that tribe. And in the bottom part of your funnel is your inner circle. And those are the guys that have now, they've become aware of you. They like what you do. They've taken action. They've become part of the tribe. They now know you. They like you. They now trust you. Now they become part of the inner circle. Now they become clients. They buy more products from you. They become regular clients. They become raving fans. And that's pretty much what you want to be focusing on. It's not that difficult. You don't need major, all these complicated things in place. You just need to get the basics right. Then the next system that we want to have in place is your business development system. And when we talk about business development, it sounds really expensive and it sounds really complex, but it pretty much really is just sales. How are we going to increase sales? How are we going to grow our business? Have we got a scoreboard? Have we got some kind of goals that we're trying to achieve? Have we got targets? And then am I working towards them? And if I'm reaching them, good. If I'm not reaching them, why am I not reaching them? Where can I change? What can I adapt? How can I move to make sure that I'm moving closer towards growing my business and reaching my goals and my targets? So when we think about your business and think about the business development system within your business, have you got a plan for your business, a 10-year plan, or I would even go further than that. I'd say 25-year goals, bringing them back to 10-year goals, 5-year goals. Have you got 3-year goals? Have you got 1-year goals? Have you got goals for the next quarter that you're wanting to achieve within your business? And that's pretty much what your development plan is. And then if we look at the last system that we want to have in place in our business, it's a financial system. Do you know exactly where the money is in your business? Do you know where the money is at all time? If I could come to you now and say to you, right, what do your financials look like? Could you tell me? Do you understand how to read a balance sheet or a profit and loss sheet, or your financial statements? Do you understand that? And I'm not saying you need to be an auditor or a bookkeeper. I'm not saying that at all. But you need to at least be able to look at your financials on a weekly basis, and you need to know where the money is. Is the money in my account? Is it in my client's account? Or is it gone home in somebody's pocket that's working for me within my business? The amount of businesses that we work with where there's fraud and corruption because the business owner doesn't understand how to read the bigger picture with regard to the financials on his business. And like I said, again, you don't have to be an auditor. You've just got to at least be able to look at your financials and see, okay, there's something's not right here, something is right, or we're running at a loss, we need to adjust. I mean, I've sat with clients where we go through the different areas within their business, and in one area they're running at a total loss and they don't even know it because they've never done the maths. They've never taken the calculator out and figured out, this is what it's costing us to produce, manufacture, buy, whatever this product, and this is what we're selling it for. And when you take the costs away from the sales price, oh dear, we're sitting in a minus. And we often find that. And I'll tell you why. It's because when you're a business owner, I don't know about you guys, but I'm passionate about coaching. I'm passionate about the speaking and facilitating and presenting. I love that kind of stuff. When it comes to the numbers thing, I don't really like that. I don't really enjoy that. So I pay someone else to do that for me. And I kind of trust them and leave it in their hands. I carry on doing the stuff that I'm passionate about, that I enjoy doing. And every now and again, I'll check in on those things. And sometimes when I check in on them, it's too late because we've already lost that battle. And we see that because markets change, because supply and demand, things change in the marketplace, in our business. And you constantly have to be on top of your financials so that you know how to plan and how to move forward. Am I making a profit or am I making a loss? So that's pretty much it for the 12 pillars of building a world-class business. Your 2 systems, your 4 strategies, or your 2 development areas, your 4 strategies, and your 6 systems. It sounds very complex, but it's actually not. It's kind of basic, common sense with regards to what I want in place and what I need to be doing and where I need to be focusing. And as a business owner, I hope that makes things a little bit easier for you just to think about your business. And again, like I said, all of this doesn't apply to everybody. Every one of us, every one of our businesses is unique. We have the different purpose for our business. We have a different vision for our business. And so it's unique to all of us. But just have those things in place. Just consider those things. Just think about those things. Just monitor those things. Just see if you've got that in place within your business. I'm going to ask if there are any questions. Nicola, if there are any questions that come up in the chat. I see we've got 23 chats. I think most of them were you posting some of the points that I've been talking about. Yeah. But if there's anyone that wants to just jump in and ask me a question, even if it's around how we franchised or what we did and what we're doing in our business, what's working, what's not working, you're more than welcome at any time. Shall I stop sharing and then we can go back to the big screen? There we go. So please, yeah, if any of you, if you've got anything to add as well, if there's anything you feel I've missed out. Yeah.
So he says, can you talk on the franchise model?
Yeah, Philippe, I think was who posted the question.
Oh, Filippo, not Philippe. Sorry.
Yeah. So when we talk about a franchise model, for myself, I looked at putting structures in place, putting a model in place, a kind of a cookie cut, if you want to call it that, and then being able to duplicate that. Because what I found that a lot of the clients that we approached when it comes to coaching and that kind of stuff, it was either one-on-one coaching, it was me working with one business. But when we got involved with some of the bigger brands and the corporates, there were multiple operations, multiple offices and those kind of stuff. And it was too much for me to handle. So I then thought, well, we can now bring in coaches and I can train them to use our material and then to go out and do what we're doing. And I just didn't like that. I've always just had this dream to be able to help other people do what I do and to duplicate what I do, give them the tools and then allow them to go and run in that space. And so that's what we did. We created a franchise model where somebody comes, they buy the franchise and they then get to go and do what I do wherever they are. And now the brand it's done a lot for our brand. It's given us a national footprint, and soon we're going to be moving international with that as well. But it's no longer only you. There's now a bigger brand that you can that you can play with. I'm not too sure if I've answered your question, or if you want to switch your mic on, you're welcome and ask me a little bit more. Or if you want to, you can reach out to me and we could have a Zoom call and I can answer any questions around that. I looked into franchising for many years. I was involved in franchising for many years as well, or running a franchise. I just liked the model. I really liked the model. And what we tried to do with our franchise is I looked at what it would cost me to set up my own business, and not only the physical cost or the cost for everything that went into the business, but also time cost and development cost and all that kind of stuff. And when I looked at that and I thought, but I've already done all the work, I could easily sell everything I've done to someone else at a fraction of the price. So they wouldn't have to lay out all of that cost to develop what I've done, because I've already done it. And I can just sell it to them. And it absolutely makes sense. I love the franchise model.
Philippe, do you have a question?
Yeah, indeed. I wanted to know, so the number 2 is operation and system, and that's a very big world in and of itself. My question is, realistically, how do you start diving into that systems?
The operation systems.
Yes.
So there's a kind of a framework that we work on, and it looks at the product. So working from the product backwards. So everything that goes into, every step that goes into getting the product to being ready, and that could be either a physical product or a service. So we work backwards, looking at all the steps, everything that goes into it, suppliers, supply chain, that whole kind of thing, and then just optimizing that. And then we look forward from the time the product is ready until the product is in the client's hands and the money's in our account. And we look at all of those systems then, and how do we maximize those? How do we automate? How do we optimize in those areas, so that again we can come to the bottom and say, all right, what does profit line look like? Or are we optimizing profits? Do we, and do we have to change anything? Do we have to throw anything out, or do we have to or can we carry on? And sometimes we can even increase the price, because we're too cheap and that kind of stuff. But that's pretty much how we look at it. And again, how long is a piece of string? It depends on the business. It depends on the product. It's different for everybody. But if you take it from that point, working backwards, working that way, you can kind of figure it out. Cool. I see there's another question there, Malcolm.
Just saying thank you. He was a bit late. Great information for business owners. Yeah, thank you, Malcolm. Any other questions? Any last thoughts? Anyone that wants to share something?
So guys, we all part of Circle of Excellence, and that's the beauty of what Mike and Lundy have put together, is that we can connect with one another. And you guys are welcome. Any of you are welcome to connect with me through Circle of Excellence. I'm on Facebook, we're on LinkedIn as well. You can search World Class Coach and you'll find our website. And you're welcome to set up a chat anytime, and I'd love to share with you, and I'd love to learn from you as well. And that's what we're here for. So please, you're more than welcome.
Great. Thank you so much, Carl. I think everyone has learned quite a bit, and I'm sure you're going to get a lot of messages after this. Thank you so much for this week's Global Intelligence Update. Next week, Mike Hancock will be back on, and we'll see all of you same time. Thank you so much, everyone, for joining. Bye.
Perfect. Thank you, Nicola. Thanks, everybody. Have a magic week. Bye-bye.